never thinking I would be, or and kind of not wanting to be, and then once in the last several years we started talking about it, and then we didn't have to try really.
Really?
And you would think,
we went through goddamn hoops.
Oh, really?
Insane. You son
First
of a
time.
gun.
My wife came home from being out, and she was a little boozy, and she's like, "Let's try this."
Get me pregnant.
And I'd been playing video games and smoking weed, and we just went into the room
Let's
and
go.
did it. And then a couple weeks later, sure enough.
What a great keepsake this podcast will be for Rhodes. I was just smoking weed.
I hope you kept whatever. I hope whatever smoking implement you used
I
is
pulled
bronze.
one back. My wife actually said, "Let's make a drunk baby."
Really?
That's what she
That's
said.
awesome.
And
Did you hear
it's
what
for
she just
sure
said?
it would. Yeah.
I said, I hope that you bronzed whatever your smoking implement was.
Whatever you're smoking out of bronze that shit.
And then just bronze and like on a little, a little platform. Rhodes.
Oh my God!
My word.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
No.
So you were an only child raised primarily by your mom, obviously by your mom and grandparents, or no?
Yeah, and that led to a little bit of the getting picked on shit of, kids with dads would make fun of me for not having one. It was fucking brutal.
You know what?
I know.
Terrible.
I know. I have one specific story where this kid started talking shit about my dad, and I don't have a dad. I go, I don't have a dad, and he goes, dig him up.
Oh my God!
It was so fucking
What
mean.
the fuck is wrong with people?
So did
These
you?
are the
What? Yeah, I did. And then I brought him
joke
to the
was on
kid's
him,
house.
motherfucker.
I brought my dad's corpse to the kid's house in the middle of the night and just tapped on his window.
Scared the shit out of him. I am Brian's dad.
Well, you know.
Let me in.
We do have in
Quit
common.
being mean to my son.
The being picked on thing we do have in common is red hair, which is not.
That was the last thing I was made fun of.
Children don't take well to other children with red hair.
I didn't know that redheaded kids ever got made fun of. In my town, they were the ones
I'd rather
that
be
fight.
dead than red in the head.
Well, yeah, and you grew up around a lot of Irish kids, right?
Yeah, there was Eddie Shields, all like Eddie Furman, all the Eddies.
Every Eddie.
Yeah.
All the redheaded
I
Eddies.
can't believe that fucking Reddy Eddie. I can't believe that fucking kid said that. Like, that bothers me now. Like, I want to find that grown up.
He actually
and just punch his eyes out.
He apologized. He's one of those guys that he later became an alcoholic and then had to do his amends or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, was it a drunken apology? Because
No,
it doesn't
he
count.
got a hold
I'm
of
really
me.
sorry I did that.
Man, fucking love his shit.
And it wasn't specifically that thing, but he came to me on the internet and just said, I was a huge dick to you.
Oh, that's
I've never heard of internet amends.
Yeah, fuck
Holy
that.
smokes.
I've had a couple of guys seek me out and go, hey, man, sorry about all that shit.
Let me tell you right now, all you drunks out there working your steps, internet is not for fucking amends. It's for porn and for fantasy football. If you're a good nerd like me, the fantasy football part. But that's a cop out. That's no way. That's bull. I mean,
I don't want them calling me or coming
That's
to my
terrible.
house. Yeah.
No, I said the fantasy football part. Okay. She's like, you don't have porn on your computer. I'm like, no, I don't actually. You like porn.
No, I don't.
Are
you assuming?
Yeah. I'm just being a terrible interviewer. Porn.
There
You
are,
like porn.
No,
Speaking
there
of
are
porn.
people where that's
I've got this here
that's
on
their
your notes that you like porn.
According to my notes, Brian Posehn bio.
porn.
Let's see. Went on one of the, Metal by Numbers. You're a huge Love Slayer, Big Al Yankovic fan.
That I like.
Yes.
Why?
Tell me about.
Why do I like Weird Al?
Why?
It always made me laugh, and it still
All right,
does.
fair enough.
Yeah, I liked him. Do you remember? Did
just
you grow
likes
up with
poodle
Dr.
hair.
Nemeno at all?
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So I heard Dr. Nemeno in junior high, and then for Weird Al to be from California and like hearing him, and he was young when he first came out in the early '80s, and I just thought it was funny that this was this kid who just hated this music and just started making fun of it out of his basement, basically. So I've always liked him.
I've always liked him, but I have a very bizarre story. I was on a sitcom called And Happily Ever After for a lot of years, and they film in front of a live studio audience, and I've never met the man. No one on the show knew Weird Al, but he would come every Friday, which was tape night, and he would sit center. and Weird Al was there. I'd say almost every tape night for a good 100 episodes, and so we would just look out and go, oh look, there's Dad. Oh, and there, yeah. Oh,
was he friends with the Talking Rabbit though?
He was friends with nobody. He was just hanging out, hanging out.
He just loved big Jeff Pearson fan. Weird Al Yankovic, apparently.
Yeah, okay.
That's apparently, that's a showbiz thing. Like that's us being put in the front row of your show in Vegas to go back. But the main
we did not wish to.
No,
I know that
he knows that.
It's terribly disconcerting to have people that just sitting there like looking up.
It was strange.
I'm sorry.
And then we have the panic in our hearts and minds of like, I hope he knows we're really laughing, like we really think he's funny.
Right.
And like then you got to put a little extra juice on it, like like right everybody, like isn't this great? Our friend Brian. But the maitre d' in Vegas, to their credit, they just go, hey, show, like, hey. To them, it's like fucking Frank and Dean and say,
front.
Like, no, asshole, put me in the, you know what? How about I just stand by the door because I pee a lot.
I've been up front for Rickles a lot.
Jar.
Really?
A couple of times where I've gone, they put me up front.
What does he call you?
He called me a giant kraut once and was just totally guessing, and he's right.
And then he said, well, why do you dig him up?
Yeah. And he called Benson. Doug Benson was with me, and Doug was high as fuck, of course. No. And he called him a Chinese queer. And he told my wife...
Totally wrong and completely perfect.
And he told my wife he loved her. Like, he whispered, I love you to my wife. And so I meet him later on, and I go... one of the first times I saw you in Vegas, you called my friend a Chinese queer, you called me a giant kraut, and you told my wife you loved her. And he goes, and you still like me? And I go, you didn't call me a Chinese queer. And he's like, ah.
Like you cracked his code.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to get to the, go see Brian Posehn September 13th through 16th at Caroline's on Broadway. Come on, you pests. Fill it up for the guy. I do a lot of fucking favors for you, don't I? Do I have an Amazon read real quick? I'll just tell you. Go to jmohr.com, click the Amazon banner, and you can buy wieners, fart jokes.
You can buy wieners on
Wieners
Amazon.
and fart jokes.
Yes,
Wiener and fart jokes by Brian Posehn. Fart and wiener jokes.
Brian's wieners, Posehn's fart book jokes.
But you go to jmohr.com.
From Amazon, Jay.
Click the Amazon link and go to Brian Posehn's Fart and Wiener Emporium and buy DVDs and buy the Roadrunner cartoon therefore. But really, go see him at Caroline's at Nokia Theater. That is September 21st here in Los Angeles, Club Nokia. And he's going on the road with Kyle Kinane.
Yeah.
Anybody else on that show?
Pete Holmes is on that show.
That's tight.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Just the three of you?
Not John.
No, this a couple other guys were on Funches, and then Arch Barker. I think he and I are like, like certain cities he'll close, and other nights I'll close.
Yeah, we're fucking what, Brisbane and Sydney?
Yeah.
No way, dude. This is the United States of America.
Yeah, so mostly I'll close.
This ain't communist Australia. Tell them to close down there with Eddie Ift. This is America where Brian Posehn closes.
Thumb wrestle for it.
He'd win a thumb wrestling match.
I
He's got
know,
the Keith
I'm
Richards
setting him up
skull
to
ring
win.
on. You have done way more acting than anybody really, I think, knows. And I didn't know you did this much voice work. Scooby-Doo, Abracadabra Doo. Which sounds like a joke, as I say. I remember seeing you a lot as Brian on the Sarah Silverman program. Adventure Time, that had to have been like a dream come true.
Well, no, because it wasn't on when I did it.
Oh.
So I did it in the first season, so I didn't know how cool it was. And now it's become a thing. Like, that's a thing at Comic-Con where people shit a brick when they see me because they're so upset. Their fans are so obsessive.
How... All right, we got to talk for a second about Sweet Life on Deck. Because you're surrounded by the most obnoxious... I've only seen them act.
Yeah.
And the way it's written...
I was one, so you can put it all on me. Hideous young teen actors.
But I don't know you then. I just know you as like super quiet and nice. But like on Sweet Life on Deck, they have taught our 9-year-old to be like kind of a dick.
Well,
they're like, oh, okay, Dad. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no, what child talks? It's like,
LOL.
I'd only seen that show in passing because it would be creepy if a guy like me watched a lot of Disney Channel before I had a son. So like.
Why do you figure?
It would be creepy or super ironic.
Kim Possible's coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stoned. You don't want to watch that Stoned.
Hannah Montana with my dick out. Just
wait a minute.
Honest, I think would not be up for Hannah Montana.
Yes, it would
maybe,
for him.
Maybe Carly. Maybe Sweet
Waiting for
maybe
Dad to come out.
iCarly.
Wait for Billy Ray Cyrus.
Where's Billy
I
Ray?
love him with his. I love Billy Ray with his. I love any man with his with their pressed perm, their straight pressed perms.
Yeah, he's ironed his hair.
Those-
I'm
yeah,
waiting
I
for
love
Billy
those-
Ray with my achy breaky cock.
Yeah, I love those.
He's heating up, folks.
I
He is
love it.
fucking son of a bitch. You are heating up. I think there's a new 10 minutes in the Brian Posehn catalog of watching Disney Channel before you had a kid.
But yeah, so I was sort of aware of how bad the acting was, but this was crazy. I've never once done a show where they go, "Can you go bigger?" You know, they always say, "Hey, you know, I've had people go, take it down a notch, you know, not so broad."
Which is
but
so
I've never
weird
had
to me
anybody
because
go,
you're so laconic. So
Yeah.
for like somebody to say to you like, "Wow, Brian," you're wild.
Hey,
But
Brian,
I've done a little
slow
bit
it
you know,
down.
the
But-
sitcom stuff, there is like, because it's like a play where you do go bigger. You go bigger than you normally would, you know, in real
But
life.
you always play like kind of, not always.
Yeah,
I'm
but
speaking
like-
superlatives. You play often like an Eeyore type of guy.
Yeah, and I'm always the weirdo or the
Hey,
creep.
how you-
yeah.
yeah, right.
But
So-
still, there's a way of doing that too broadly.
Sure.
You know,
That makes
and
sense.
so I've been told to take that down a notch. Or when I do the screaming thing, which I did a lot on Just Shoot Me, but this was the only instance ever where the director took me aside and he goes, "This show, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's super fucking broad.
And you
There
went,
is no way you can.
I have seen, but pants
Yeah.
are always off.
You can't be too broad." And so I just went bigger and bigger every scene I was in. I'm like shouting at the end of the damn thing.
As a
What if
kid,
you were
as
The
a
kids
kid,
were awesome. The
it's-
kids were
Oh, they were
comic
nice?
book nerds. The two brothers.
Oh, good.
They're totally. They go,
Is that
they shop
Drake
at
and
the-
Josh?
Drake and Josh?
No, but what
That's
were their
another
real
one, right?
names? Yeah,
Dylan and Cole.
Dylan and Cole, and they were two nice kids, and they'd seen me at the comic book shop in the Valley, so like we had the same shop.
You want to give a shout out to the comic book
Earth
shop?
2, yeah, Earth 2, and
Earth 2?
yeah, in Sherman Oaks.
Holler, shout out to Earth 2, comic book shop in the Valley. Big shout out.
Yeah,
How many years were you on Just Shoot Me?
4. Wound
That's
up
a long
doing-
run, bro.
Yeah, I wound up doing 40.
I have
or so.
your IMDb page printed out, and it is 1, 2, I'm not going to bore it is 7 pages. I mean, you did a lot
Yeah,
of...
a lot of crap.
No, I mean, you were on
Some
Raymond.
quality shit.
Tell
Yeah,
me
no,
about
I got real lucky at the end of the '90s. I did almost every like decent sitcom.
You hold that one. I mean, and Mr. Show, you had a ball.
Yep.
And a lot of VO stuff, my man.
You hired me to be
Yes,
in
I
a Mr.
did.
Show movie, and I was very, very grateful.
Wait, why was
Yeah.
Brian Posehn casting the Mr. Show movie?
I was one of the writers, but I didn't hire her, but I did push for her.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a good shot, her coming out of that swimming pool there. I realize.
It was about all that ended up.
At what point in the process of making the Mr. Show movie did you realize, you personally, did you go home at night with the knot in your stomach going, this is all going to shit?
It
was still a good movie.
Yeah, I was getting bad reports back from the set. Like I didn't go to Atlanta when they shot it, so I did a couple. My scenes were all shot in L.A. and it was just kind of out of our hands at that point. And we'd also the draft that we let when they left to go to Atlanta. That just was my least favorite draft that we had done, and so I kind of knew then. After we had taken so many notes from the studio and the other producers.
It really is like a cautionary tale, a Hollywood cautionary tale. Like, you do need a producer that can tell the studio, get the fuck away from me.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys were just all sort of in the same level of
Right.
and Mike DeLuca was your guy.
Yeah, and that's why, like, when you get to work around like a Sandler or like an Apatow eventually, those guys, you're like, oh man, I wish I would have always been in that situation, because they're like, you know, these
Have that
guys that are kind of
absolute power.
untouchable.
Right.
Yeah, that's where you want to be. It's where, you know, they go, well, we can't fuck with them. And in TV too. I mean, that's like what makes Louis' show so great. You know, what makes
Don't make Happy Madison mad. But
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is true now.
Oh, I know.
It's literally like if Sandler goes like, well, then you know what? We're just going to fucking shoot. Yeah. We're going to film The Wall for 4 days. There's nothing they can do about it.
Well, if you look at some of the best things in TV and film, it's because they were totally hands off. I mean,
and the guy has
that's why
autonomy.
South Park is as good as it is. That's why Louis.
Girls is great. You like girls?
Yeah.
No, I mean in general. Do you like girls?
They're all right.
Brian, how you doing? You like girls?
But just shows that are unnotable.
You like a big bush?
You can't give them notes. Oh, man, I've only seen that show a couple of times. A lot of my friends are obsessed with it, but my wife, she made me watch it. She goes, you got to see that this girl loves being naked in every episode, and
Yeah,
she has
she
an
does.
awful body. Even my wife.
But she's
like,
to me, that
for a
makes her
woman,
like a
but she's
champion.
She's the weirdest tits I've ever seen on TV. That was my wife saying that to me, and then
Oh.
I went,
I thought it was you saying
no,
it to me.
she
You
said
know
it
what?
to me.
I
She
will
goes,
say-
honey, come in here. I know you don't want to watch this, and I didn't. But she goes, this girl has the weirdest tits.
But I really like the
and she
show.
pulls them out every episode.
They're,
I've only seen
they're
a couple
terrifically
of,
unusual tits.
I think it's like a perfect show.
Yeah, I've only seen a little bit.
I can relate to it. Like I couldn't really relate to
Right,
Sex and the
'cause
City.
you're a rich Jewish girl living in Manhattan.
Well,